Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Kick this week off for the news. We have some articles to go over here regarding Black Ops 6, Bloober, their next game studio that's causing a lot of talk online, and as well as a acquisition that you would think, hey, maybe Xbox should have picked this one up based off of their previous relationship. So we will talk about all of this type of stuff. And before we do, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to hit that subscribe, share the video, like the video, and check out my Spotify. Link is in the description. So we'll start off here. We'll talk about Black Ops 6. We know this game is just around the corner in 4 days before it does drop. And we've talked about this on the channel for a while, just how big of a release this is. This is always one of the biggest, if not the biggest game every single year when it does come out. But this year is completely different. There is a huge new element here, and that is the game dropping into Xbox Game Pass, and the first major Call of Duty released under Xbox being the owner of Activision Blizzard. So there's a lot of stories that is going to come out of this release after it's all said and done. The sales numbers, the subscription numbers, where do people buy the game? Is it going to move the needle to moving people over to the Xbox ecosystem? All questions that we will get those answers to throughout this year with Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And I think it will have effects on what Xbox does going forward with this game and how they handle the release. Obviously, they have a big advantage on Xbox now, which is the marketing rights for the game. And we are going to see that going forward. You see it on their Xbox channel, and they're saying it's on Game Pass. They have the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 controller and Series X wrap that they are releasing. And we've seen the marketing rights just be absolutely massive for whatever platform has it. When it was on the 360, it really helped push that console. When it was on PlayStation 4, it really helped push that. And now it's back to Xbox, so we'll see throughout this generation, the end of this generation, and going forward into the next one, what that does. But one of the biggest maps coming back to Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which is not a surprise, is one of the most famous maps out there, and that is Nuketown. And we have more information here saying that Nuketown in Black Ops 6 will be a remaster of the original Black Ops Nuketown. And Treyarch has confirmed this, saying, I'm really excited with Black Ops 6. We now get to revisit the original Nuketown, the magic that was the original one, but looking better than it has ever looked. And I'm very happy that they are going back to that original one. It just brings back a ton of nostalgia. I mean, Black Ops was probably my favorite one. Black Ops 2, between that one and Modern Warfare 2, those are my two favorite Call of Duty. So those were the golden ages of Call of Duty, in my opinion. And I would love for it to get back to that. It's still a great game. I mean, it is really fun to play. There's just definitely things that have changed. I mean, you just look at like the voice chat and how everyone, there's a lot of toxicity now that gets completely shut off and comms banned and everything. Whereas back in the day, there was none of that. It was kind of the Wild West to Call of Duty. You have also the skill-based matchmaking, which has completely changed the multiplayer front. You see a lot of people talking about this, whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. I think the reality is it does keep people engaged and playing longer because they're not instantly dying when they jump into the game, but it does also take away just from some of the fun overall when they didn't have skill-based matchmaking and you had to really grind and work hard to get really very good at the game. But now you could jump in and get tons of high scores and everything. But it's still a very fun game. I'm excited for the zombies. I'm excited for the single player campaign. And one of the things that happened to me, this is kind of, I want to talk about this because it was pretty interesting. And also, it was a slower news weekend, so we'll just throw this in here. But I was at Walmart on Sunday, and to my surprise, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, this is from my ex, so go follow me there if you haven't yet. But Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was put out at Walmart. It's obviously behind the glass. It was out there about 5 days early, and I actually wanted to try to purchase it, and unfortunately, they would not sell me the game. I just said, hey, I want to pick up this. The guy went, took it from the glass, brought it to the counter, had no idea that it was early in the release, but obviously when they scanned it, it stopped it from being sold. But that's just interesting. I generally never run into this. Sometimes it's very rare to see these mistakes happen, at least where I am. But this time, put it out there 5 days early, have it under the wrong SKU and everything. I think somebody just kind of got confused or was maybe playing a trick here at the Walmart. So if you do see it, you're probably not going to be able to buy it if you go in and try to pick up the physical copy early. For me, hey, it's on Game Pass. Don't really care. I was curious to see if they would actually sell me the game itself, and unfortunately they did not. Okay, let's talk Halo, because we have Rebs Gaming here with another big report here from certain Affinity and the unannounced Halo project, Project Occur. So as we know, 343, they're switching to Unreal Engine 5. So I think a lot of engine games that use the Slipspace engine, I should say, they're going to be moving away from those if they were having any of those games in the planning stages or development, and they're going to be starting from scratch, building all of their games from Unreal Engine 5. And hopefully we will still get multiple different Halo projects coming out. I think that is a very important thing for the franchise, is to have those spin-offs and to have a faster release schedule in between the main games, like having games come out that keep people wanting to jump back into the Halo universe. And we have some more information here, like I said, from Rebs Gaming, a Project Occur, and he says here, Project Tatanka was started by 343 Industries. They shut it down and they handed it off to Certain Affinity, and that, I believe, was the Battle Royale game. That there's a lot of discussion as to whether that was a good idea to shut it down or not, but they were working on it and then just moved away from it. And I think it is probably because of that whole Slipspace engine switch to Unreal Engine 5. You're not going to invest more resources if you're not even going to be using the engine anymore. They say Tatanka was canceled for Halo Infinite in 2022 when 343 began exploring Unreal Engine for Halo's future. Certain Affinity started rebranding Tatanka into Project Occur around the same time, and 343's development team wasn't given much insight into Occur. It says, my main source thinks Certain Affinity ported Tatanka into Unreal Engine 5, which became Occur, and another source says it could be an extraction shooter, and Occur file still exists in Halo Studios database, meaning it might not be canceled. So Certain Affinity was just acquired by Keyword Studio and has multiple unannounced projects, and we will talk about that, but that I could see happening. That's why there's still that debate here. Is the Battle Royale game mode completely done? Like, are they not going to dabble in this whatsoever? Or are they just going to be trying to transfer it over to Unreal Engine 5? I can see them wanting to still release a Battle Royale game of some sort, just maybe rebranding it and restarting it in some way with Unreal Engine 5 to make it better than it could have ever been with Slipspace engine. So that will be something that is very interesting to see. Of course, we're still going to be waiting here on now Halo Studios giving an announcement of the upcoming games. They said multiple projects are in the works, and you would have to assume that with the easier way to develop with UE5, with more people being able to know the engine, they'll be able to hire for people who have used the engine in the past, lots more expertise on the engine over Slipspace engine, that they're going to be able to start with creating more games and giving us announcements faster. Like, there are so many things they can have spin-offs for Halo, like for example a flood game, like a horror game, and the Battle Royale. You can have more games based off of the other teams like they had with Halo Reach. Like, there's so many things they can do here, and I would believe, like, Halo is such a big universe, there's so much lore in it, you can have a Halo game like every 2-3 years, no problem, which is kind of what they used to do, but they fell away from that, and I think that has kind of hurt the franchise a bit. Okay, let's talk Black Myth Wukong, because Black Myth Wukong is still being played, obviously, still very popular, and it's still being waited for by Xbox gamers, and it looks like it may be getting a little bit closer to an Xbox release, as well as a physical release is coming. So this is a report here that the game has actually been rated by ESRB, and in that ESRB rating, it is rated for PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series, and the PC, which would mean that there is the Xbox Series version in the works. It's coming. It's just, who knows when the release date will be. Who knows how long that secret exclusivity deal is going to last for. But on top of that, they also announced here on Twitter, Black Myth Wukong themselves, that if you want a physical version of the game for PlayStation 5, it will be coming. And I hope when they do release it on Xbox, they release a physical version right away with it. If they're putting a PS5 physical version now, I'm sure that they're ramping up to release the Xbox physical version too when it does come out. But they tweet this out. Destin Ones, thank you for your patience with the master disc for Black Myth Wukong ready. The PS5 physical edition will be available to you very soon. And maybe when the physical version of this game does drop on PlayStation 5, that's when they also launch the Xbox version of it. They just obviously can't say anything right now because it's still under whatever sort of agreement that we have heard about has happened with this game. But with digital versus physical, if you watch my channel, you guys know I love my physical stuff, and we're seeing just kind of the drawbacks more and more to digital games. Like, you don't actually own it even when you're buying games on Steam. So we'll continue to see that. And if all physical goes away, if there's no way to purchase any games physical, the consumer themselves will have less power, less options, less ways to get games cheaper. You're going to be locked into paying higher prices, and that's something that I just do not want to see. So hopefully physical is here to stay for longer than a lot of people think it is. Okay, Bloober as we know, Bloober are working on a bunch of games here. They are also working on a game that was announced at the Xbox showcase, Chronos: The New Dawn, which looks absolutely phenomenal. Looks very, very cool. And I like what Bloober does. I really enjoyed the medium when that game did come out. And they're coming out here and they're trying to change their perception from some people who think that they just make shitty games. So they were speaking to GameSpot and they say in the wake of the newly announced horror title, The Chronos: The New Dawn. And they also are behind the recently released Silent Hill 2 remake, which has been very successful. But they say this: we want to find our niche, and we think we found our niche. So now let's evolve with it. And how that happens is more complex, but it also happens organically in a way like the 2016's Layers of Fear people in the studio were like, okay, we made some shitty games before, but we can evolve. And they say we gather a team that loves horror. So I think for us, it would not be easy to switch, and we don't want to. So if you're expecting anything else from Bloober here, they're just going to be continuing on that horror path. And I think that's a smart move because the games that they have released in that genre have been good, have been decent. And why stray away when you found what you're good at? If you have all the people there, all the pieces in place, if people still want to make those games, why switch away from that? All right, Spider-Man 2, we did talk about this on the weekend, but they are releasing this on PC and there's no new content coming. In case you missed that, it is going to be coming out January 30th for the PC, and it's going to have the two editions, the digital standard, the digital deluxe edition, where you get a bunch of extra content in there. But this is a major release here for PlayStation and PC, and we'll see how well it does in sales. I mean, with Spider-Man IP, it always does very well. You can just pretty much put anything out Spider-Man in it will do well. But I also think we are getting closer and closer to that day and date PC, PS5 release for their first party games. There was a big thing actually that is very confusing here, and a lot of people are talking about it, is no more content coming for Spider-Man 2. And you have to ask yourself why they would just cancel all of this additional content. Because if you remember from the Insomniac leak here, there was way more content for Spider-Man 2 that they wanted in the works. And it was all supposed to be coming here in 2024 after Spider-Man 2 did release. You could see some other things here like the Beetle Infestation, the Extreme Carnage DLC, the Spider-Verse Anomaly, and then a Game of the Year edition here for Spider-Man 2. But this is all on PS5. So you have to think, when they were putting this plan together in their minds way back when they were developing it before the release of Spider-Man 2, PC obviously wasn't on as high of a totem pole as it is now in the industry for the console side of things. But we are seeing with both Xbox and PlayStation, they have to expand out and reach more gamers. And PlayStation is definitely seeing this, especially in recent times when they've lost like 400 million on Concord, which is the report going around on that one. And they're not meeting a lot of expectations for getting more people into the ecosystem. I mean, the sales and consoles and everything has slowed down. So they need to be able to expand out, reach more people, and maybe because of that, they decided to take those resources and put it back into the PC version, which Nix's is developing, rather than continue with DLC and then move on to whatever else they have next. And if they've canceled all this DLC and they're working on a Spider-Man 3, maybe they're thinking about, hey, we're going to start releasing these games day one on PC, as that is the better strategy, rather than locking it to the console itself and then having this DLC strategy that only console gamers can buy. So it's very, very odd that no new content is coming. There's obviously some sort of change going on in the background here at PlayStation, and I do think it has to do with where their games come out. I do believe it will be PC, PlayStation 5, day and date, so they can really cash in on these releases and then also add those DLCs to both platforms at the same time. Okay, let's jump over here to a couple of more things. Well, we'll quickly talk about this. In case you missed this, there is now a dynamic background for Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on the Xbox Series S and X. If you want that, you can go ahead and change your background and see what it looks like. It looks very clean. I do enjoy it. So maybe just for the release hype or whatever, if you can put this on there if it's a game you're excited for. Right now, I have my Avowed background because I think that is a phenomenal artwork that they have. But this one looks pretty cool too. And then two more things here. As we mentioned, Certain Affinity has been acquired by Keyword Studios, and they've worked previously with Certain Affinity has with Xbox, with Halo. And now I wonder what this means. Are they going to continue that relationship? And Certain Affinity, you would have thought would have been a no-brainer for Xbox to consider purchasing, which obviously they were looking to sell. because of their previous relationship. They've worked with them and they know what they can do. But it does say here that news comes courtesy of gi.biz, which says the Keyword Studios acquired certain Affinity for an undisclosed sum, and the report reveals that the acquisition is subject to losing conditions and includes an upfront cash purchase and an earnout component based on certain Affinity's performance. So there you have it. They have been purchased, no longer for sale. We'll see where they go from here and if they still continue to work on the similar projects. And finally, Tales of Kenzera Zau. They say the studio puts team on redundancy notice as it seeks funding. So Surgent Studios, which put out this Metroidvania game, which I have it. I need to play it. I haven't jumped into it yet. It looks like it's really good. And from all accounts, from what I've seen from reviews and gameplay and everything, that it is a good Metroidvania game. So I'm actually going to definitely jump into this sooner rather than later. Now, this is just kind of reminded me, it was in my backlog. But they put out this statement here saying, we've decided to put the work of the Surgent Games division on hiatus while we secure funding on our next project. In the meantime, we've unfortunately had to put our team on notice for redundancy. Everyone at Surgent worked incredibly hard to create Tales of Kenzera Zau, a game that truly comes from the heart. Their passion, creativity, and dedications are nothing short of extraordinary. There are still a couple of exciting updates coming down the pipeline for Zau, but for now we have a message. Our team has created a prototype for a bold new project. It's darker, edgier, and more visceral than our first game, but it retains all Zau's high-octane combat and cultural depth, and we're looking for a partner. Now, I believe with the first game, EA partnered with them. They published it. So they're obviously looking for another partner to come in. Actually, as it says here, published as an EA original title, got a 76 Metacritic. So a very decent game. It didn't get destroyed by reviews or anything. It's definitely a serviceable one if you're just looking for a nice Metroidvania to play, to check out. But they're looking for somebody to act as the EA in this sense and publish their next game. EA obviously looks at the sales numbers and everything after they decide to make these deals. And I don't think this game sold very well. So they're probably not going to go and publish their next game, but they're looking for somebody to come in. But this is also created, if you go on social media, just the whole culture wars thing that is happening nonstop within the video game industry. And it's really ramped up over the last few months. And I don't know if that's because there is a election coming up in the United States and everything political has gone crazy. But with this game itself, right now, there is a huge dialogue. You have the actual owner of the studio, or the head of the studio, guy who ran this game here, Abdubakar Salim, who has been essentially just calling out podcasts and people, and you have them pushing back on him based off of everything. And there's all obviously goes back to the whole Sweet Baby Inc. stuff and all of that. I'm not too in the loop on that stuff. I think at times there's definitely reasonable pushback against games that force things that make the art worse. But if there is a game built from the ground up that is not having forced political agendas on it, then the complaints to me just don't make too much sense. But here we are, it's causing a whole nother wave of that stuff with Tales of Kenzera Zau. But like I said, I have it. I'm going to go play it and see if it deserves all the shit it gets right now, or if the game is actually decent and people are just kind of missing the mark on that one. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.